Recording. Okay, ji. Today's lecture is about strategy, review, evaluation, and control. And all of you are requested that if you find some important question meanwhile, you can ask right now and during the lecture anytime you can ask any question by writing in the chat box. Okay. So, and this is our last chapter, ninth chapter, that is strategy evaluation, strategy review, evaluation, and control. Obviously, we have made the strategies, we have applied the strategies, and definitely, if I am going to take some step or if I'm going to start some activities, so I would like to evaluate that whether that activity is giving me appropriate and desired outcomes or not. So that evaluation goes around anytime, everywhere, every time. It doesn't mean that evaluation is one time kind of action, or if someone say that, sir, after a year or after 6 months or after 3 months, somebody would be evaluating. No, this is not like a such thing. Evaluation kind of activity is ongoing and continuous activity. The good manager, uh, 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 an efficient manager will continue with the evaluation anytime. Okay, sir, you question आया है, sir, you will share previous lecture recording. Yes, I have told you already that in the last week I couldn't share that video because of some technical reasons. So I would be sharing the last video and as well as the today's video in collection, in together today, inshallah. So we'll be getting all the videos here. Okay, I was talking about the evaluation and control process. And evaluation and control process, I said that it is continuous, ongoing process. It is not feasible to say, it is not wise to say that evaluation has some kind of having a specific time period, though that the milestones, that the targets are obviously evaluated when the time comes, but day-to-day evaluation is additional quality and characteristic of any project manager or any organization head. That organization, that project of that kind of activity are well uh, 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 followed, where the evaluation process is continuously undertaken into consideration. Please, all of you are requested to turn off your mics and cameras both as well, because I may be having some. Let me try to mute all of you. Yes, thank you. Okay. So, what is a strategy? Review, evaluation, and control. The best formulated and best implemented strategies become obsolete as a firm external and internal environment changes. Therefore, it is essential for the strategies to systematically be reviewed, evaluated, and controlled in the execution of those strategies. It means that if you have taken some step, if you have chosen some strategy, if you have applied or uh, uh, um, apply this strategy today, so then obviously after a week, after a month, the situation would be something different. Your market condition, your market dynamics, your political atmosphere, environment, your social environment, that definitely would be changed. And after change of that environment, your strategy can become obsolete. It means that that strategy would be no longer workable in changing of requirements. So that's why you need to evaluate your strategy after every some considerable interval of time. You can evaluate after a week, you can evaluate your strategy and policies and execution after a month, you can evaluate even day by day, day to day. So I said that that manager or that project head is seems to have seems to set to be a good and wise manager who evaluate its activities, who evaluate its all ongoing processes on daily basis. So evaluation is that kind of a thing which need some kind of regular processes, or without any having a regular processes. Naked eye evaluation can be done by the prudent and intelligent and efficient project manager. So that's why internal and external environment changes, dynamics changes, political situation and social environment changes, and because of these changes, your opted strategy, your opted activity, your opted policy can become obsolete because that strategy may not be no longer compatible with the current situation. So you have to mold, you have to modify, you have to revisit, and you have to redesign the policies and strategies on the basis of a requirement and atmosphere and environment. Now, strategy evaluation and control. Strategy evaluation is a vital to an organization's well-being. Timely evaluation can alert management to potential and actual problem before a situation becomes critical. And definitely, strategy evaluation includes three basic activities. Now, this thing is to be remembered. This thing is to be taken into serious consideration. That three basic activities are there where the evaluation can be done. The first thing is examining the underlying basis of the firm's strategy, comparing expected results to actual results, and taking corrective action to ensure that performance conforms to plan. If you remember that in the initial days, initial lectures, I've told you that there is a one thing simple. If someone asks about what about the control actions, control measures, where they include in the project. So particularly in the project, there is a plan, and another hand, you are executing that plan. And if your execution is according to your plan, it means you need no to control. You have nothing to control at all, because all the outcome desires, all the desired outcome, all the results of all activities, that is according to your plan, that is according to your target. But in the reality, it doesn't happen so, because in the reality, if the some policy, if some strategy has been selected and opted and executed, let's say a month ago or a couple of months ago, but during this month and couple of months, all environment, political environment, social environment can be changed. So in that case, obviously the strategy and the policy should be revisited and modified. So comparing expected result to the actual result, that would also give you some kind of a snap shot of your progress. If your current outcome, current targets, and current achievements are according to your planned or expected targets, so it means that all things are okay. But if your current outcomes and current benefits or your current results are not according to your plan, it means that you have some problem, and you have to locate that problem, and obviously you have to take some remedial measure for that. That is called control measures. And strategy evaluation, definitely adequate and timely feedback is the cornerstone of the effective strategy evaluation. As I have said, that it is not right to say that that evaluation process is very strictly after some equal time interval, or there is no any kind of a common understanding that after there should be a weekly evaluation process, there should be a 3 monthly evaluation process. No, it's your manager. He should take care of it, and the evaluation, as I said, that it can be a very well process. Like if you take an internal audit after every 3 months, that is called some kind of an official and professional kind of an evaluation, where your auditors, internal auditors, come into scene after every 3 months, and they evaluate all the processes. So that is some kind of a professional attitude. But personally, I believe that a good manager is that manager who evaluate its project, or who evaluates his organization on the daily basis. He should come up with some kind of a parameter. Obviously, he should come up with some kind of a standard, that on the day-to-day basis, what kind of a standard that organization or project should be should met. So if those standards are met on the daily basis, then obviously it means that uh, uh, please do not make draw lines onto the screen. So it would be disturbing for me. Okay, strategy evaluation is important because organization face dynamic environment in which external and internal factors can change quickly and dramatically. I've already explained here. And strategy evaluation is an essential to ensure that the stated objective of an organization are being achieved. It is somewhat similar kind of statement where I've said that all the current targets should be evaluated. Either those current targets are according to your planned or targeted targets or not. So let's move on. This is Rumel's four criteria. Rumel is a social scientist, a business management scientist, and he have explained some kind of four criteria where you go for strategy or sorry evaluation. Why you are going to evaluate? The question may be asked: Why? What is the reason behind evaluation? Why any activities, ongoing activities, should be evaluated on the daily purpose? Let's say someone say that, sir, I have made some kind of an annual target. So I would obviously observing that target after a year. Why should I bother about meanwhile or during the processes evaluation? But मैं साल के बाद वो देख लूंगा if I would see after a year, after completion of the year, either the target is achieved or not. So this is not so. This is not a good management. This is not a wise management. You should not only to evaluate day by day, but you have to actually your basic job is to secure your desired outcome, secure your desired targets. Whatever target you have set after a year, after a couple of years, after a 5 year, you have to secure it. And for that security, you need to evaluate on daily basis. So that's why you need to evaluate so many things. And evaluation also needed to make some kind of a, mm, proactive plan for the threat aversion. Obviously, there are so many kind of threats are there because I've said that dynamic conditions are changed, economic conditions are changed, economic environment is changed. So with the change of this economic environment, social environment, political environment, so there are some kind of a threats emerges at any time. So to tackle that threat or to evaluate or to assess that threat timely, so that would be obviously save you with the unwanted loss or unwanted bad happenings. So there are four criteria according to Rumel's why the strategy evaluation is needed. And the first one is consistency. Strategy should not present inconsistent goals and policies. Inconsistent goal and policies mean that just think about that Pakistan is having 5 year plan or 1 year plan, whatever. So if you have any plan, either you have annual plan or 5 year plan, so for the security and for the safety of that target, it is needed that your all activities should focus on that particular target. But meanwhile, you see that if some kind of a market environment changes and you may find some opportunities, good opportunities, it doesn't mean that the when good opportunities comes, so you would change your basic objective and goal. You can't say that, oh, that opportunity was not expected and suddenly that opportunity comes in the market, now my annual target should be changed. You are saying that in meanwhile. You cannot change meanwhile this kind of a alteration in your objectives and targets. Once the targets are made, once the objectives and goals are made, you have to follow those goals with the letter and spirit. No matter you find some more opportunities, no matter you find some kind of a threat, but whatever market situation is this, you have to secure your already set targets. After that achievement, when you once achieve the targets, then you can go for the new targets and new goals and new objectives for the next year with the high margin and with the high potentials. But meanwhile, you should not alter, you should not change your policies and your strategy, because someone may ask, sir, मैंने तो I have already set $3 billion, sorry, 3 billion rupees target after 6 months, but meanwhile I am seeing that lot of opportunities are there, so I would like to change my that annual target from 3 million rupees to 6 million rupees. So that would not a good kind of a strategy. That would be not a good kind of a management. It doesn't mean that you would forego that opportunity. You use that opportunity to make your goal to achieve as soon as possible, timely, accurately, wisely. When those targets are achieved, then you can come up with some new ideas. Then you can come up with some new innovation during the processes. But your main goal and main policies should not be altered. They should not be what we can say that compromised. So policies and goals must be consistent. They should not be inconsistent. Then the second thing is consonants. Consonants means that there are some individual trends and there are some sets of trends. So you need to look, you need to evaluate all your organizational project individually and as well as in collective. So both should be very concise to each other. Obviously, a project as a whole, organization as a whole is having some kind of a different attitude, and individual persons and individual employees, they may be having some kind of a different attitude. So you need to look into all the individuals activities and as well as the project or organization as a whole activities. So you need to align those individual individual activities with the organizational kind of activities. So you have to see some kind of a trend. These may be called an organizational trend, sectional trends, or seasonal trends, whatever kind of trend are there. And as well as you go for the individual trend, either you want to evaluate your one single division of your organization with the compatibility with the all organization kind of activities. So you need to align individual trends with the organizational trends as a whole. Obviously, if individual trends are not following accordingly, then the organizational trend cannot be sustained. After that, the feasibility is there, neither overtax resources nor create insolvable sub problems. It is basic philosophy of a good management. Okay, the question is this: trend means that where the progress is going, either the progress is going upward and downward. So you see these kind of a trends. Let's say if your progress is going good and upward, it is good trend, it is upward trend, it is positive trend. But if your returns and if your daily returns and your weekly returns are going down, it is called down trend, or it is a decreasing trend. So you need to assess your trends daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, either that your sale is being increasing or decreasing. So that increase or decrease of sale, increase and decrease of revenue, increase and decrease of processes, so that is called trend. And consonants means, sir, consonants means to align different thing with each other. That is consonant. It means that if individual actions are according to the organizational actions, so it means that the both are in consonance, they are in consonance. But if your individual action are directing somewhere different, but your organization is moving something in different direction, so it means that your employees, that individual is not in consonant with your organization. So that is called consonance. So consonance should be there. All organization activities, all organization happening, all organization progresses, that must be aligned with the individual progresses and individual activities. And let me admit some other persons. Okay. And the last thing is advantage, and advantage is creation of a maintenance of a competitive advantage. If you know that you are having some kind of a competitive advantage, you may be having some good resources, you may be having a big money, you may be having a good expertise, you may be having a good market repute, you may be having good brand name. So whatever kind of a competitive advantage do you have, it must be maintained. It must not be lost. So the maintenance of the competitive advantage, that also needed. And obviously, how would you know that the competitive advantage is sustained, or your competitive advantage is alive, or your competitive advantages is still in hand? So obviously you would go for day-to-day evaluation, because evaluation will tell you what you are doing and where you are going. So if you are if you do not evaluate yourself, meanwhile, if you do not evaluate yourself periodically, timely, it means that you will be living in darkness. So it is not good for the project manager to live in the darkness. Strategy evaluation. Now it should initiate managerial questioning of the expectation. Evaluation, let me tell you, evaluation or research, both. I'm taking the both into consideration. Either you're doing evaluation or you are doing research. So in both cases, the main thing is the question. You must ask question from yourself. Make question, initiate question, whether I'm doing good or not. That is the first question. If you are given a task, if you are given a responsibility and you're doing good, but you must ask yourself that either you are doing good or not. And if you find answer by your inner self that yes, I'm doing good, so you must ask again, how can you be a good? How can you say that you are going good? So that's why you then you maintain, or you prepare some indicators, or you or parameters for yourself. what what the thing that can be called good, and what the thing that can be called bad. Because in running process, no individual or no any kind of manager is in position to evaluate himself. But a good manager, a prudent manager, wise manager, always evaluate himself as well. He asks question from himself, that whether I'm going on the right direction or not, whether resources are good or not, whether the targets are achieved or not, whether the all employees are going on the track, already planned track or not. So these are the kind of a question, because if you don't ask question to yourself, you would not find a problem. So if you find a problem, then trigger a review of objective and values. So then you must go for the objectives and values, that where you are misled, because your employees, your departments are giving you the results in different quantities, and you need to evaluate those quantities, those rupees, those sales, those revenues with your objective revenue. So you need to evaluate and review all the objective time by time. Because time by time reviewing the objective makes you informed that all the activities, current activities, are according to your goals. Then the stimulate creativity in generating alternative strategies and formulating criteria for evaluation. Because evaluation by itself need a criteria. How would you evaluate someone? Let's say if somebody asks me that uh, uh, do you have uh, uh, an efficient subordinate? So how would I come to know that my subordinate is efficient or not? I must keep some kind of a criteria. I must make some kind of parameter. If my subordinate comes on that parameter, or mm, get proper score for that parameter, it means that he's an efficient subordinate. But if I do not know about the process, if I do not have any kind of parameters to evaluate, so how would I evaluate people? How would I come to know that today's progress was good or not? So there must be some kind of a parameter, there must be some kind of a standard. By meeting those standard, by meeting those parameter, that would be sign of having good progress today. But if I'm not taking, or if those parameters are not met, if those standards are not being followed or met, it means that the today's performance is not good. So for having good or bad kind of a statement for the performance, you need to have some kind of predefined parameters and standards. Okay, the questions are there. Some students are waiting. Please allow. I have already allowed them, and in my box there is nobody's waiting because I have allowed all of you. Okay. Sorry. So that's why you need to have some kind of a different criteria, alternative criteria, and to formulate them and to have some calculation over there. Obviously, your manager is giving you information about his daily sales, and you have some kind of a standard for your daily sales, that this much amount of daily sales is quite good for me. So if you have that standard in your mind, it means that you have made the parameter. It means that you have made a criteria. So if your manager says that, sir, today's sale is 10,000 rupees, but you have kept in your mind that the daily sale should not be less than 15,000, it means that that manager is not doing so good, because you have made some kind of a standard, you have made some kind of a parameter in your mind. So you need to have those parameters and those criteria in alternate matter, in alternate manners. Then be performed on a continuing basis. Obviously, I've told you that you need to perform this evaluation continuing basis, day to day, rather than at the end of the special period. It is not good, so that after every 3 months you will be evaluate only, but it is not a good thing. I've already told you that evaluation process is the day to day process. Then you know about the IFE matrix and EFE matrix. So if you have done IFE and EFE once, so you need to revisit those. You need to revisit or revise those IFE and EFE matrices. Sorry, where it is? Yes, it is. So obviously you have already listed the threats and opportunities and strengths and opportunity weaknesses over there. So you need to revise and recalculate those IFE and EFE metrics. You would come to know that either you are doing good or not. If your EFE and IFE metrics sum total, subtotal, grand total is increasing, it means that you are progressing, and if that grand total is decreasing, it means that this is not a good performance. So that can be another tool for you. Then the monitor strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Definitely you need to monitor all those things. Let me see the question here. So if our strategy and evaluation failed, when then what is the next step to be taken for concerns? Okay, the next question is, sir, if one of from these four are not matching, or it is failed to our evaluation, then what should we do? Okay, the same question is there. Question is this, that if some kind of a policy and strategy is not giving you desired results, so what should we do? Then change the strategy. It's very simple. If you see there, you have now you see the word here, alternative strategies. If your some particular specific strategy is not giving you result, so then change that strategy with alternative strategy. So strategy can be changed, objectives cannot be changed, but strategies can be changed, activities can be changed, people can be changed. So you can go appropriate corrective measures. So corrective measure can be any kind. You stop sales, you stop purchases, you install new machinery. So all these kind of a little kind of hectic hacks uh, are kind of a little strategies. So those alternative strategies would be available for you anytime, that if some way and sometime if any policy strategy is not working, so then you go for the new strategy. And one you ask that if you find some one thing, if you're not if your objectives are not consistent, if you are having no consonant, if the feasibility and resources are not feasible, and if competitive advantage is not kept maintained, it means that you have weakness. It means that there will be some reason. So find out that reason, locate that reason by evaluation, interview the people, locate that reason, and if you find that reason, then try to solve it. By solving, you have so many kind of authority and policies that they are to take a change. Sometimes you totally shift your switch your team, even you change your team because you see that your team is not working, so you change the team. If you remember that Imran Khan so many times have said that meanwhile during cricket match, if the bowler is not working, so they change the bowler. If your batsman is not working, so they change the number of the batsmen. So the strategy is always there, alternative strategy should be there. Okay, and then monitor strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So these are the questions you should ask by yourself. Our strengths are still strengths? Has our organization added additional strengths? Okay, this is the last minute is running on. Might be in some minute, in after 5 minutes, this session would get disconnected. I will be in connection very immediately. So don't go away if I become disconnected. Okay. And has our organization developed other weaknesses? You have to find the weaknesses and strengths, and then are our opportunities still opportunities? I think this is okay. Have other opportunities developed? Are our threats still threats? Have other threats emerged? So these kind of questions should be asked day by day, after every week, after every month. So if you are increasing your strength, this is progress. If the opportunities are coming again and again in front of you, this is your progress. If threats are mitigated accordingly, that is your progress. If your weaknesses are coming down, that is your progress. But if you see that your weaknesses are increasing, your strengths are becoming down, so it means that there must be some problem. So find out that problem and go for alternative strategy. And strategy evaluation activities, I'll see in the table number 9.3 later on. This is the some kind of a table you can make. It is one kind of tool, otherwise you can make so many tools like that. So you can see that here the columns are being made, have major changes occurred in the firm's internal strategies. So you may list in so many kind of strategies, and you can answer one by one to those actions. So this thing is not here to be explained in detail right now. And this is your strategy evaluation framework. So I think let me admit more students here. Okay, so this kind of diagram you can assess easily that activity number one, the review underlying basis of the strategy. So prepare revised internal factor evaluation matrix. I have told you that you need to revise your internal factor evaluation matrix. Internal factor evaluation matrix, obviously you are assessing your weaknesses and strengths, and you have already get the grand total over there. If you remember 2.58, that was our grand total over there in the IFF matrix. Then prepare revised external evaluation factor matrix. If you remember that we have scored over there 2.5, if you remember in the chapter number 6, you have already done it. Then if you revise those IFE and EFE matrices and find some difference, let's say if your IFE matrix was previously 2.58 and you have revised your IFE matrix, now it is not 2.58 but it is 2.0, so it means that you have come down. Similarly on the EFE matrix, if your score was the 2.5 but your new score is 3, it means that you have gained, you have taken some benefits and advantages. So in both cases, if you do significant difference occur, this was the question. If you find your previous IFE and EFE score and your new IFE and new EFE score, if you find something very significant difference, so you go for this line. Yes, it is significant difference. But if you find no bigger difference over there, if your score was 2.58 in earlier and by revision the score is 2.56, so that 2.5 or 2.56 or 2.58 is not a big difference. So if there is no big difference, so you come with this line with the no line. So if you find a big difference, you go for the yes line, and yes lines goes to what? Activity number 3, take a corrective actions. It means that if you find a bigger difference in your previous score and your if in your latest score, so you need to have some kind of a corrective actions. And if your significant difference is not there, no, then the activity number 2 is compare plan to the actual progress toward meeting stated objectives. Then you need to see that what was your objectives and what are your running activities. And again, if you find somewhere that your desired activities, your planned activities are having something different and your current activities are going in different, so it means that you have find significant differences over there. And if you find differences over there, if yes is there, then go again for corrective actions. And if you find no difference with your activities planned and actual, then you continue recording. Now recording is progress. So let the people come,
Yeah.
and after that I will be taking final attendance here. Please mute your mics and turn off your cameras. I am admitting all of them because that was somewhat a deception because of Zoom. So that's how you go for the corrective actions. It is very easy to understand. And then as strategy evaluation and control, measuring organizational performance. That is another tool for you to evaluate, compare expected to actual results. I've already told you, day-to-day basis, see your planned results, planned targets, and actual targets. If you find something very big difference, then go for some corrective actions. If you find some no differences, then let the things be happen as they are. Similarly, investigate deviation from plan. Again, the same question is repeating again, that if you find that if you find that your current results are not according to your desired results, your targeted results. So if your current results are not according to the targeted results, then obviously you need to have some corrective actions. Then evaluate individual performance. Obviously, you evaluate individual performance as well. You evaluate your subordinates, you evaluate your each employee, the managers, and if you find their evaluation not satisfactory, then obviously you go for some corrective actions. You fire them, you fine them, or you take explanation. You draw them warning letters. So these kind of corrective actions are there. And if they are doing good, so obviously you serve them as with the rewards as well. And in the last, examine progress toward stated objectives. I think this is again repeated. If your stated objectives are are met, then obviously it is good for the organization. But if you find that your annual or if your long-term objectives are not being followed appropriately, then you go for some corrective actions. Then quantitative criteria for the strategy evaluation. You may have some quantitative criteria. You can compare your firm performance over different times. You can see your performance after every week, after every month, after every no sound is clear. Why no sound is clear? Let me check my sound. Let me check it. I'm testing the speakers. Hello, yes. Hello. हाँ मेरी आवाज़ मुझे तो ठीक आ रही है. It means that there is no problem from my side. Probably आपकी तरफ कोई प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, प्लीज. Okay, ji. Compare the firm's performance to competitor performance. So it is a quantitative kind of evaluation. Take the percentages, take the lump sum amount of sales, and compare with with your competitors' sales and performance in percentages. So obviously, whose percentages are high, he will be going good, and whose percentages is not high or getting low, so it is not a good performance. Then you can compare the performance industry averages. So this is again some criteria for the performances evaluation. And obviously there are sounds are okay, noise is okay, okay. So returns or investment, return on equity, these are the profit margins. So you can see, you can evaluate profits as well. If you find your profits are good, if you find that your profits are in high margins, so you're doing good. But if your profits are not high, so it means that you need some corrective actions. And taking corrective actions is the final strategy evaluation activity. It requires making changes to the competitive prepositioning a firm for the future. Example of changes that may be needed are altering an organization structure. You can replace one or more key employees. You can sell your divisions. You can devise some new policies. You can go for issuing stock for the raised capital. You can allocate resources in different manners. uh, uh, you can revise your firm mission. Mission cannot be changed, but vision cannot be changed, but mission can be restated. And you can take a corrective action is necessary to keep an organization on track towards achieving its objectives. So there are so many corrective actions are there. Here I've mentioned only few of them. So you need to see that what kind of a corrective actions would be easy, would be beneficial, would be productive for you. So it is the job of the project manager who needs to locate some good policies and good strategies, alternative strategies for the progress. And then the last thing is balance card approach. I think I would not be explaining here into detail because it is not only a one thing. Balance scorecard is one tool, but you may find so many other tools as well. I'll be showing you balance card here. This is the balance card. You can see that you have areas of of objectives. You may be having an objective for the consumers. You may be having some objective related to your employees or employer. You may be have some objective according to your operations and processes, because you see that every individual office, every individual employee, every individual task is blessed with the objectives. So if you have already clear in these objectives in written form, then you can evaluate each objective on the next column, the measure or targets. So that objective, how that objective should be achieved. So you may be having some standard, you may be having some parameters. So if you have an objective just like in customer objective kya hoga, let's say with the customer related objectives are that to increase the range of customers need, to increase the range of customer need. It means that you want to provide your customer with more products. So what is your target? If your target would be that after a month, after a 3 month, after a year, how much product you have innovated on new product introduced. And time expectation, uh, uh, again, how that new product development would be taking time, and what are the primary responsibility for that particular objective. So new product if planned to be introduced, so there must be some responsibilities. You give this task to some managers, and responsibilities are given to that manager. So you make such kind of a balanced scorecard, and after that, having a balanced scorecard, you can evaluate this card after every time interval, after a week, after a day, after a month. So If you find something very different, if you find something very not good, so you need to go for some alternate strategies. So this is all for today. So from my side, I have completed 9 chapters from your book. There was 11 chapters and I have completed 9 so far. I have taken almost 16 lectures for you, and I think that 16 lectures are the maximum possible limit for any course. I would be asking Akil Sahab if I'm done with the all number of lectures, then this would be the last lecture. And if Akil Sahab says that no, you have to take one more, so I'll be then coming in the next week again. Otherwise, if Akil Sahab says that that's enough, 16 weeks are completed, so this would be our complete material. So I would be sharing the today's video and the last video in collective form today, inshallah. और पेपर की जहाँ तक बात है, so far the paper pattern is concerned, I have told you that if they don't allow me, so the paper would be completely on MCQs basis. But if they allow me to add some short notes, so I would add some short notes into your paper. So I would be letting you know that what kind of a final pattern is designed. So now you can ask any question.